All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Pursuit to the Plate, brought to you by Vortex Optics and Remington Arms. This week in the Remington Arms studio, we are going to be joined again by Hank Shaw, hunter, angler, gardener, cook.com, award-winning blogger, author, outdoor chef, you name it. When it comes to wild game, he's done it. And Shayna Bain, she is with WestonSupply.com. You guys have probably seen Weston from the likes of maybe Meat Eater, Hank Shaw, Killer Chefs, but they pretty much have everything that a outdoorsman or woman could need to process, cook, preserve your wild game. And when I say that, I mean it. You'll be blown. It's like little kid in a candy store. They got everything. But this week we're going to be talking to them, and we're going to be speaking more on the processing and cooking the game and all kinds of different stuff you can do at different deals with cooking wild game. So it's going to be a part 2 of a 3-part series we do with Hank and Shayna. And man, there's just so much we can get into. But so look forward to getting to it. And this segment is brought to you by WestonSupply.com. So check it out. And man, I hope the listening's good. And to get down to business, we have pretty much all our brains we're going to be throwing together to kind of talk some processing in a few wild game, more, I guess, bigger game, and then some turkey recipes. But Weston, Shayna, you are kind of like you're their brand manager, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep, I'm their brand manager.
Hank, you work with Weston kind of like we do. I was probably a little bit more blown away when I first got on their website about how much you guys had. I was a kid in a candy store, literally. And I've said it before on the show. I know I have. But if you could kind of fill us in on like Weston and what you guys are about. I know we've talked about it, but kind of give the folks an idea. It's not just a company. You guys are very busy and very active, always posting recipes, yada, yada, yada. So, I think we could kind of give folks the same idea Hank and Joe and my guys all know about you guys and kind of give to everybody else from what we haven't already told them ourselves.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, our mission really and truly is just to deliver well-made products to people who essentially just want to take food into their own hands, whether that be a gatherer or a hunter or just somebody in their apartment who, read about the whole pink slime thing. And so it really stands across the board, but hunters are really near and dear to us because food is so near and dear to them. And we're finding more and more that sometimes the hunt is coming after food. So we're finding people, because they're so interested in food and taking it into their own hands, they start hunting because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the traditional hunter, it's really about the thrill of the hunt and the trophy and some other things, and that's great too. So what we're finding is that the food comes first and then the thrill comes after. And so what's really nice about Weston is that the people who really made Weston what it is are hunters themselves. And they're what, do you guys know who Tovar Cerulli is?
Oh yeah, I know Tovar.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So he wrote The Mindful Carnivore.
Do what?
And
I couldn't understand that one.
The Mindful Carnivore.
Okay, yeah.
And so he was essentially a vegan at one point in his life, and he slowly became a hunter through fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it was just all about, real food, where it comes from, connecting with your food. And so he has this phrase he coined, which is adult onset hunting, which is really just people who cared about food and became hunters. And so the people who made Weston what it is, that's exactly what they are. They became hunters as adults because of food. And they really embody the mission of Weston. And so at any given day, if you came into Weston, you would see me in the kitchen using the products. You'd see them there too.
Hmm.
And my role in the company really started as a blogger who could cook and welcome to challenge. Didn't really know how to do wild game just yet, and so they would bring in the wild game, and I would figure out what to do with it and blog about it and use our products along the way. And so I think what's really nice about Weston is that we don't just offer product, we offer know-how. Um, if you talk to a lot of the people who work there, they can take you through the process of sausage making or really anything you want to know. And I think that says a lot about our company, and I think you find that a lot in the outdoor industry as well, which is really nice.
Oh yeah, you guys constantly. I don't know if you guys your social media on Facebook is it Weston Products, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken, and then uh, I don't know. I know I follow all three, but I know Facebook because it's always like a tag thing. But
yeah.
Twitter,
So
Instagram.
yeah, we're everywhere, and if you look for Weston products, you'll almost always find us. We try to keep the handle the same.
And
And then we also, so we have our blog.westonproducts.com, keeping it simple. And then we also use the hashtag Hunt Harvest Eat, which is becoming really popular. We're seeing more and more people use it. But if you look for that hashtag, you're bound to find our recipes being shared, our products being used, in addition to some other really great people doing some great things.
and what was that hashtag again?
Hunt, harvest, eat. That's
Hunt,
what it's all
harvest,
about.
eat. Okay, I'll have to remember that because I can't. I've always just done Weston and I think real food.
Yeah, yeah, and you can absolutely do that. But Stephen Ranella, who's really
Hmm.
great on the real food front and on the meat eater front, who of course has his award-winning show Meat Eater over on Sportsman's Channel.
Yep.
He really embraced that hashtag and thought it was really cool, and it was kind of representative of what he was doing too. So
Hmm.
if you look up that hashtag, you'll find his stuff too, and we love that.
Oh yeah, he's out there. That is for sure. I think he's done a great thing. At the time when he came out with what was it before Meat Eater?
The
Um,
Wild Within.
The Wild Within. Yeah, that there wasn't a show like it. Like, and I think that's kind of from the jest when he explains Meat Eater either on his podcast or on the show, um, or on his blog. Meat Eater, he wanted to get more of the food aspect of it.
Yeah, it was about feeding his family. The
Yeah,
original show.
going. And but yeah, that I mean, oh yeah, and so that's awesome. And I think that's where we're at. We were just talking with Ricky Hart from Lucky Duck in the last podcast, and one of his biggest things is there's so many kids coming up or new hunters that they think the biggest piles of dead animals, birds, deer, whatever, is at the end of the day what's more important. And that's one thing I like about them guys. From the grind and Lucky Duck and Dakota Decoys is they're trying to show that even though when you get those hunts that you have like a 5 or 6 man limited ducks or 100 snow geese in a weekend like we had, that's fun and that's awesome, but at the end of the day it's not always about the biggest pile of dead birds. So there's so much more that goes into a hunt and so much more that goes on after the hunt that makes it what's truly special for myself anyways. And I think most people that we generally associate with or have the exact same philosophy as that, in my opinion.
The one thing that I'm really impressed with by Weston is you kind of have something to offer for everyone. Like I was talking to Sean earlier, being on the site, I'm blown away by how much you guys actually offer. I
Yeah,
didn't realize that before we kind of started talking to you and getting involved with Weston.
we hear that a lot. I mean, it honestly, a lot of it does come from us just, using the products ourselves and noticing what was missing from the process and trying to I mean, it doesn't mean we have everything you could possibly think of, but we try to give you every reason to do it yourself rather than take it to the game processor. One of the biggest things that would stand between you and a processor is a meat grinder. So we make meat grinders. And not only do we make meat grinders, but we try to offer one for everybody. So if you're just starting out and you're a beginner and you don't know what you're doing and you don't want to get into some crazy investment, that's okay. We have, a $99 grinder. We have actual grinders that are less than that. And they work well too. But if you're going to like really get into it, then we offer commercial grade and stainless steel and all that. So we try to offer the gamut to make it accessible to everybody, whether you're an expert or you're starting out. And we try to bring you so that when you are starting out, it's easy enough that you want to become an expert.
And it's not even
totally
just
vouch for those grinders.
yeah.
I have finally over the last year and a half or so, I've beat on this Weston. It's the half horsepower model.
Right.
So it's like somewhere middle of the road. It's all I could ever want for it. You still got to get that grease thing worked on, but other than that.
Yeah, other than that. And so what Hank's talking about is the grease inside of it. If you put it outside in the cold, like quite cold, it'll freeze. And so Hank brought his in and was like, what the heck? This doesn't work at all. And we thought, we were amazed by it because those grinders just are such a star for us. We never have a problem. And sure enough, it turned out that the grease will freeze. So just, keep it inside. You can.
Keep in mind, before I used the KitchenAid, I used a KitchenAid, whatever, I can't remember.
The grinder attachment.
Yes, and I would always get black stuff that would come out, like, in the meat sometimes. It was weird. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that's their problem with that.
Yeah, so I'd rather have the thing freeze up on me for a second and have to thaw out than to have that grease actually going in my food.
Yeah.
So.
And here's the thing about KitchenAid. KitchenAid makes an excellent stand mixer. I would never ever try to say that they don't. It is great at what it does. It's my favorite. They make those dedicated attachments and they work for some people. Obviously, we make a dedicated meat grinder for a reason. We don't believe that it should be an attachment on a stand mixer, and especially the sausage making attachment. That's why we make something different.
No, I have ruined tens of 20 pounds of meat, like venison, trying to stuff with that auger style.
Right.
Yeah, no.
See, I don't hate on the KitchenAid grinder as a baby steps move. I mean, I've used it.
Yeah, it was a little slow.
It's the stuffer that's a nightmare.
No, it is. You can't, I finally, and this is before we started working with you guys, I finally figured out the problem I was having with my brats was that stuffer on the KitchenAid. And I went out and bought some cheap Northern Tool, I don't even know, like a 5-pound or something like that, crank style stuffer. And, we kind of addressed this on the last show too. You got to have dedicated. Yeah. And do not ever stuff with an auger. Ever.
Yeah, for stuffing, absolutely. So our grinders, you can stuff with them too, and they certainly work for it. If you're going fast enough, it's fine. If you keep your meat cold enough, it's fine. But we would never try to tell you that that's going to be better than our vertical style stuffing. For. There's just nothing better than that.
No, those vertical, and I think the reason I shied away from it is because I didn't think that they would be as proficient, and it's exactly opposite. They are 100% more proficient than anything with an auger. But yeah, I got my grinder. I think I'm using the 650 watt Realtree Weston.
Because you got to have a camo grinder, don't you?
Well, this is
I don't think it is camo. It came with
camo. We have a camo one for people who really care. And we have this 650 watt Realtree that just has the camo cover.
Yes, and we were actually talking. My wife is a lot like Shayna. That I was like, sweet camo cover, and she's like, that is going in the cabinet, and I'm like, damn. So I didn't even get to use it, but whatever. So I have this really awesome camo cover that I might be able to convert into like a mushroom hunting bag or something. I don't know. But yeah, so but no, it does. It comes with the camo cover, yes. And
My girlfriend had flames painted on my KitchenAid, like a cholo car, like a lowrider.
That's pretty sweet. Maybe
It
we
is
should do
pretty
that.
now I want to talk some recipes with you guys too. Is there anything in particular you guys, while we're talking about grinders and stuffers, do you guys want to go into sausages or how about we do this? We can save the sausages for the next episode, and means how it's spring and there might be some people out there doing turkey. Do you guys want to touch on that? I know I'm huge for smoking wild turkey. I think if we could maybe get in at least turkey, and then maybe in a future episode we could just go crazy with sausages and grinders and
Yeah, that'd be a whole hour, I think, with sausage.
oh man, it's too much. So maybe let's do this. On my topic sheet, we have some turkey recipes. Oh goodness!
Yeah, but nobody's going to hunt turkey again until November.
But they're gonna be cooking it, unless they've already cooked it. Or
Most
we
people cook all
have
their spring birds.
I don't know. I just cooked my first turkey breast over the weekend.
Okay.
But
I was actually surprised you guys have stuff for canning, though. Okay.
oh,
Since we touched on canning.
well, and that's what I was also going to say, Shayna. I think you guys, new products coming out,
Yeah.
chamber sealer. What is that?
All right. So we make some pretty sweet vacuum sealers. We're really well known for them. The Pro 2300, Pro 2100, big stainless steel machines that do anything that you could possibly need them to do. But what we were finding is that fishermen love these things, up in Alaska especially. They use them like crazy. And that's about the only thing that they don't stand up to over time. I mean, they still will last the fishermen a lifetime, but they have to know what they're doing, and they have to keep water out of the chamber,
Okay.
which can be tough.
Yeah.
And so we decided we needed to come out with a chamber sealer. A chamber sealer is a much different machine. You put the bag inside of it versus outside, where you're just kind of making one strip seal and taking the air out through one channel. You're putting the whole bag inside of it. And what that allows you to do is to have liquid in it. So you can have a vacuum bag full of water, full of whatever you want in there, put it in the chamber, push the button, and then it'll only seal to the water and it'll stop, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
The
So
physics are actually very interesting. We use chamber sealers in restaurants. So like a real vacuum sealer in the cooking world is a chamber sealer. And what it does is the chamber is a vacuum chamber. So it creates a complete vacuum within the chamber, and then when that vacuum is released, everything immediately, like you'll notice if you've got liquid in it, it boils for a second before the bag seals up, because it's a vacuum in there. And so that's what allows you to, it doesn't, it creates a much better seal, a tighter seal. You can manipulate the number of bars of pressure that so you can compress foods with a chamber sealer. All in all, they're spendy, but they're kind of the gold standard of sealing products.
what kind of spendy are we going to be talking, Shayna? Have you guys?
We're talking close to 1,000.
Ooh. Yeah, that's
and
spendy.
Hank can vouch, right? Like some of the cheapest ones we see out there are what?
I have the Vac Master whatever, and it's their bottom of the line model, and I'm about to sell it because the Weston 1100 is that much better, even though it's not a chamber sealer.
Right.
And that's what I use currently.
Yeah, I mean that's, if you need to spend at least $800 or $900 for a good chamber sealer, and 1,000, 1,100 is probably about right, because I mean. The difference is this. First of all, they're burlier machines. They're bigger and they're a little bit tougher, and the ability to seal anything is there isn't a single Alaskan outfitter worth his salt that does not use a chamber sealer.
Right.
How
And
portable are they for like
Not
on an ice fishing trip?
In your kitchen.
yeah, not very. And they kind of have to be if you think about it. So if you're using the entire chamber to seal in it, you want it to be big enough that you can put
Yeah.
something in it.
Yeah.
They need to be.
Now, Hank, let me ask you this. I was talking with Shayna, and we were trying to figure out. I had wanted to save. I don't turkey hunt in the fall because it's duck season. And I hunt ducks in the fall when it's duck season. I'm either bow hunting. So if I see a turkey with my bow, yeah, which that's kind of few and far between. It's happened once. But Thanksgiving, if you were to shoot a spring bird, would a 15-inch bag be enough to freeze a turkey in?
maybe a Jake. But
Yeah.
here's the thing about sealing whole birds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of angles on a bird, and there's some sharp objects on a bird.
Yes. You have
And
to be careful.
a whole bird is really the worst thing to seal. I mean, a good chamber sealer can do it, but it squashes the bird.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is the old-fashioned way. If you've got an old bird, whole bird, truss it up so it's compact.
Yep.
Wrap it in Saran wrap. Then wrap it in foil. Then wrap it in butcher paper. That's the best. That's still the best way. I mean, you can get it and it'll look nice, but guaranteed, if it sits there for a few months and it gets jostled around a little bit in the freezer, it's going to break seal.
Yeah, I've used Saran wrap. I've only done this once with a turkey. I've usually never had this happen, but I usually quarter up my turkeys. But I did it with the cellophane or Saran wrap and then newspaper after quite a bit of that, and then more Saran wrap. And yeah, it was fine. But
So when I vacuum seal whole birds, what I do is I use the sealers that have the pulse feature on them.
yes.
Obviously, you want as much air as possible out of there. That's the whole point. But for short-term storage, if you're careful about it, it won't poke through and it'll keep it. But
yeah,
you're going to want to check on it then.
I usually do. I pluck all my teal. Ducks, it just depends on the scenario, how much time I have, and really the bird, or how badly and how close the bird came. Because there's a few times you're like,
small birds actually do vacuum seal well. It's the big birds that don't.
Yes. But okay, so that answers that question. So we got that, the chamber sealer. That's something pretty cool. Oh goodness, man! So you guys are getting deep fryers and slow cookers and
yeah.
Oh
yeah, we just want to try to make sure we have everything that people need because we get those questions a lot, like, "Oh, do you have deep fryers too?" And we're like, "Oh, no."
I think I've asked that.
Probably.
Yeah,
I've been using the same DeLonghi fryer for 12 years.
Good to know. We're coming out with a camo one just for you.
That's awesome. So, okay, that's all stuff we should look for, deep fryers. And I'm guessing they will probably be a little bit more personable to use than, per se, the Fry Daddies, because those things suck.
Oh, that's a piece of plastic.
They are the biggest hunk of junk. Like, I hope to God you guys did not go off of them, because that's everything. Actually, I hope you did go off of them and do everything exact opposite, because they're horrible.
We actually were looking at getting into deep fryers like 5 years ago, and we were looking at those ones, and they were so bad that we just decided not to even go there. And then we just kept getting asked, so we decided to go ahead and make different ones. And as usual, like with all of our other stuff, we're coming out with a whole line. So there will be, the smaller, more affordable starters, and then there will be a nice, 3-basket that's a little bigger.
I was gonna say, if you got a fryer later, sign me up.
All right.
Hell yeah!
I'm about to deep fry some fresh blackberry pierogies.
Oh, I actually just wrote a blog for those. That is so funny.
What is that?
If you're not from Cleveland, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, we make pierogies out of everything. And I wrote a blog. It won't be out for like a couple months yet.
Is it like a fritter?
It's like a tiny little empanada or a ravioli,
Oh.
or the dough is what's special about it.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And what's nice is, I mean, even people in Cleveland are just now kind of realizing that they can make dessert pierogies. And so if you go to the West Side Market, which is like our big open air market in Cleveland, we actually have several pierogi stands now. And you go there and they've made pierogies out of virtually everything.
Wow.
I had a pistachio cream one right before I left that was amazing.
Yeah, a friend of mine she's from Pittsburgh, your hated enemy, but
Uh-huh.
she just wrote a book called Pierogi Love, and it's an entire cookbook full of pierogies.
Oh my God, that's
Oh
awesome.
man,
That
it sounds
is.
good, except that's really dangerous. I can't believe that she would write about pierogies. That's our thing.
Are you kidding? As in many things, Pittsburgh and Cleveland are more alike than they want to admit.
We really are. We really are.
Oh man, that's something I will have to check out. I'm guessing there's probably a recipe for something similar like that on the Weston blog.
Yeah, we have several pierogi recipes already live. One of
Hmm.
which is prune pierogies.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, we'll have our blackberry pierogi recipe out in about a month.
Would that be similar to my? I have family that's Czechoslovakian, and they make these like kobliski things,
Yeah, which is like a kolache.
which
Yeah,
is similar to a kolache. Is it kind of like that in a sense, or is it more?
It's in a galactic sense, yeah, but
yeah,
It's more
it's more
empanada-y.
like a little hand pie. Do you
yeah.
remember the
Ah,
remember those McDonald's apple pies that were deep fried?
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know
Yep.
if you're old enough to remember them. They don't deep fry them anymore,
Right.
that's basically what it's like. It tastes similar to that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll be dang. And then
Yeah.
Weston in the blog section, not only will you find those recipes, but you guys, like you had talked about, everything. If you get on Facebook, if you're the two best things if you want to cook, other than buy Hank's books, obviously, is to get on Facebook and
Buy the book.
yeah, which is our photo of the month contest actually right now is a meat grinder from you, Shayna, and
Yep.
then a signed copy of either Duck Duck Goose or Hunt Gather Cook from you, Hank. So,
That's
but
an awesome giveaway. I would
yeah,
enter that.
yes,
I'm
for
trying to win it, but I guess I'm disqualified.
yeah, you can do like I did, Joe, and go buy the book, okay?
I already own it. I just
But
not signed.
But no, besides the books are absolutely fantastic. Both Hank and Weston, um, everyday recipes, like multiple recipes on Facebook. If you're, I know everybody's on Facebook these days. If you're not, you're on Twitter, and it's the same thing. But there's just, oh my God, smoked turkey, which I actually want to try the one that you just posted, Shayna. Because the only smoked turkey recipe I have is a like a barbecue brine, and barbecue rubbed like you would do a traditional slab of ribs or
Yeah, we
Kansas.
have a couple, actually, probably at least three smoked turkey recipes, just because it's such a good way to eat turkey. And one of them's like a spring turkey, so you have like a rhubarb barbecue sauce to go on it. One of them's more of a Thanksgiving turkey, and then one just kind of your classic smoked turkey.
Uh-huh. And then I think, is there anything you do differently when it comes to turkey as far as like the one I just cooked over the fourth weekend? I did, the brine. I emailed you guys the recipes, which I'm having one of my good friends go over because he tends to make those things that I put into gibberish make sense. And we're gonna post it live, but I follow that recipe, and that's kind of what I do with my smoked birds. This one was a 4 or 5 year old Tom, so he wasn't your prime eating, a little bit more steaky, I guess, in texture. Uh, as far as what do you do differently for a young turkey or an old one? prep wise or cook wise? I mean, is there just certain things you're not going to do?
I mean, the obvious is um, you're a fool if you want to roast an old Tom whole for Thanksgiving. It's gonna be
Yeah,
tough as nails. You
yeah.
know, your ideal Thanksgiving bird's a Jake or a young Tom.
Hmm.
Um, and the older the bird, the slower and lower and moister you cook it. So
Yeah.
you smoke them because then you can slice the breast thin.
Hmm.
I'll smoke the wings really hard and use them like ham hocks.
Hmm.
And then I'll braise the legs to make Mexican carnitas, where you braise it until the meat falls off the bone and then shred it, and then lay a bunch of lard down on a frying pan and sear just the one side, and use that in a taco or burrito.
Oh
Same
man.
thing with the drumstick meat. Younger birds a little bit more versatile.
Yes, for sure, and that's what I tried explaining to my wife because it was an older Tom. It was still moist. I mean, the brine helped a ton, and I smoked it in the Weston 36-inch stainless, which whenever you're smoking something, if you cook it slower, the one thing I will say when you're smoking a turkey, you're not smoking it like you would a slab of ribs or a pork butt or a brisket. Like you're not trying to break down the fat and render it and all that good stuff. You're basically cooking it to temp, which is 150, uh, and yank it. Check it. I think in our recipe I said check it after an hour and a half, just to be on the safe side. Because you don't want to overcook it, especially an old bird. Even a young bird, if you overcook a young Jake, or even if you got you can harvest a hen in the fall, which tend to be a little bit more uh, forgiving. You'll ruin it. Eat quick. Like it's white meat, and there's nothing worse than dried out turkey breast. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and when I'm smoking too, and I've told you this, Sean, I'm really careful about the dampers when I'm doing something that's you have to be that careful about. For
Hmm.
one thing, you're gonna have to get a lot of smoke up in it
Hmm.
quickly before you without overcooking it.
Yeah.
So I have quite a few tips to try to get that smoke going, but the biggest one is just to open up that top damper to let the heat out, and then just crack the side dampers so that you're still keeping the smoke in, but you're also generating the smoke. It's kind of a science smoking is, but not fun.
Lots and lots and trial and error, and every smoker's different too. And I
Oh,
think
sure.
that's the hardest part about, like, I can tell somebody how I smoke something, but I have the Weston, and then if I really want to get technical and screw with something every 30 minutes, I have that Weber Smoky Mountain thing. But you got to jack with it too much. Propane, I can go screw with the kids. I don't have to check on it like every couple hours and just make sure that something didn't happen, which hasn't happened yet. But uh, yeah, for sure, every smoker's different, and it takes a lot of trial and error. And kind of like sausage making, there's a definite art form to it, and you can do so much with something that's all the same, I guess.
Yeah,
But
it's not hard. It's just an experience thing, just like sausage making.
uh-huh. Yep. And there's so much you can do with it. So, man, I don't really know how much more time. I think we're pretty much full up. But
Yeah.
why don't we touch base next episode, the next episode. Why don't we kind of go over some big game, some maybe some whitetail recipes, and kind of get into maybe how to do a little bit of beginner grinding and stuffing and sausage making with whitetail and whatever small, or I guess large game people hunt. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Okay. Well, it is awesome. Always a pleasure talking to all three of you. I will say, Shayna, Hank, Joe, and Hank. Real quick before we go, has the book just completely imploded?
Um, I'll talk about that later.
Okay, that means there's hope. Hopefully by next time we shout, we can have something on that one for sure. So,
Yeah, I would hope so too.
Long process. So, all right. Well, it was good talking to you guys. I guess enjoy the rest of your afternoons, and I guess happy hunting and all that good stuff to you guys.
All right.
Take care,
I'll talk to
everybody.
you guys later.
Have fun in
Okay.
California.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening. Fans, you're awesome. Photo of the Month contest. I can't say it again. South Pond Waterfowl's The Pursuit to the Plate. You got to check it out. It's huge. Awesome giveaways. Somebody's about to win a Weston number 8 meat grinder and a signed copy of either Hunt, Gather, Cook or Duck, Duck, Goose by Hank Shaw. The next contest coming up is going to be just as big. Waterfowlers are going to love it. So, check it out. All you got to do is email a pic to Sean at southpondwaterfowl.com or Brian at southpondwaterfowl.com, or post to our page, your hunting or outdoors / fishing pick, just anything. Be creative about it. There's not really any rules other than you can only win 1 month out of the year. So past that, fans, you're awesome. Sponsors and partners, we couldn't do it without you. First and foremost, we'd like to thank Weston for obviously kind of hosting this show. We'd like to thank Remington Arms, Wolf Premium Oils, Orion Coolers, Vortex Optics, Puddle Set Decoy Anchors, Lethal, Scent Control, and Banded brands. Some really big news coming up from Banded too, so stay tuned from that. This is huge. It will blow your mind. So very excited to be a part of all this stuff. And, without everybody involved, fans, partners, sponsors, whatever, this would be just another me and Joe and our guests talking to ourselves. So thanks a lot. I hope you're enjoying your pursuits. Happy hunting, and talk to you next time.